In this video, we are going to be going over downloading Fusion, going over the user interface, checking out the navigation tools, as well as starting a sketch. Hi and welcome to Fusion 360. So let's go ahead and download Fusion. We're going to go over to autodesk.com. We're going to scroll down until we see Fusion. We're going to click on that, and then you guys will notice that there's a free trial, a free version, and there is monthly payments or annual payments. For these tutorials, we are going to be using the Fusion free version. Downloading the free trial will give you access to the paid version, but only for a limited amount of time. If you decide to go with the free version, just know that there are going to be some things that you can't access, whereas you can access them in the paid version. For one, in the free version, you can only have 10 editable drawings available or saved to your cloud. So I've already got Fusion installed, so I'm not going to download it or install it in this video. Okay, so let's head over to Fusion 360. So this is Fusion 360. When you log into your Fusion 360, you're going to have something like this or something like that. If you would like the grid, you can just go over here to grid and snaps and then turn on layout grid. For this video, we are going to be using one of my save files, one of my models I've already created. So let's take a look at the user interface. As you guys can see, we've got solid, surface, mesh, sheet metal, plastic, utilities, and manage. These are the tabs that we are going to be using to create or design our drawings. Over to our left, we can change our workspace. So as you guys can see, it says design. And if we click on that, we've got various different options. So we can create a drawing from this, or we can create an animation, or we can even render our drawing. Okay, so we've got two grayed out options here. And that is because we don't have the upgraded or a subscription to Fusion 360. So if you guys have a look here, we've got the circle with an arrow up, basically showing that you can upgrade to Fusion paid version. And if you guys have a look here to the right of my screen, we have that option or that little icon that says upgrade to a Fusion subscription. You can go ahead and do that if you would like to. The next thing that we have is the browser tab. This browser tab contains everything about your drawing. So as you guys can see, we've got the document settings, the units in millimeters, and then we've also got things like the origin. If I toggle that on and off, you'll see it and then you won't. We've also got the analysis. So under that, I have a sectional view, which we can turn on and off throughout our drawing whenever we would like to. And then we've got our bodies, and again we can toggle this on and off. So I've drawn a jar and I can turn the lid off and then I can turn it back on. We've also got the sketch tab. So if you guys want to go back to a sketch, you can just go and double click on it and you'll be able to edit your sketch from there. Next up, we have the timeline. The timeline consists of things or certain things from your browser tab, and then it also consists of things that are not in your browser tab. So, for instance, we have this coil which I added to the jar so that the lid can turn on and off. If you go through your timeline, you can see certain things that you've done. Example for adding a chamfer. Also combining some objects. If you go ahead and double click on a certain thing, so I'm going to double click on this coil and I can actually go ahead and change some settings about this coil. This timeline is pretty cool because you can actually go ahead and click play and it will show you everything from start to finish about your model. Moving up to the top left of our screen, we've got different options here such as undo and then redo. We've got the home tab, we've got a save option, we've got file, and then we've also got show data panel. So if you guys want to go ahead and save your drawing, you can do that. You can also go ahead and export your drawing, you can 3D print it, etc, etc. So let's go over to our show data panel. If we go ahead and click on that, let's just go to the home screen. We are going to have all of these options. We can go to our recent data, our editable documents, our admin project, the default project, some assets, and then we've got some samples that we can go through as well. So let's go ahead and go to my editable documents. So as you guys can see, these are some of my designs that I have here. Unfortunately, not all of them are here because I can only have 10 at a time, or 10 editable documents. So as you guys can see, I was busy with a busy board. So if I go ahead and double click that, it will actually open up the file. Okay, so now that the file is open, we can go ahead and do a bunch of things in this drawing. But we're not going to be working on this one because it's, as you guys can see by my timeline, it's a little bit, it's too much for this. So let's just go ahead and close that up. The next thing that we have is our navigation items. So as you guys can see here, we've got a navigation bar, and then we've also got a cube that shows the top, the front, the right, and then there's also a little home icon, and then there's a little drop down menu over here. And that brings us to our next topic, the navigation. So the first thing I'm going to talk about navigation is our scroll wheel, and by clicking it, we can actually access the pan option. So we can now move around our drawing by clicking on the scroll wheel. If you click your left mouse button on the cube, you can actually move the cube around, which is pretty cool. So it's going to move your whole entire model around the way you are moving it. If you use your middle scroll wheel, not to click it, but to actually scroll, you can zoom in and out. So if I scroll up, I'm going to be zooming out, and if I scroll down, I'm going to be zooming in. If you click your right mouse button, you're going to access or be able to access other options and also even navigation tools. So pan, zoom, constrained orbit, etc., etc. Okay, so let's talk about our cube. As you guys can see, or like I said, that we've got a little home icon. So I'm going to quickly change my view, and then I'm going to click on this home icon, and it's going to take me back to where I was just now. Okay, so let's say you want to change your home icon, or not your home icon, you want to change your home view to your top view. I'm going to click on my top view. I'm going to click on this drop down menu over here, and then I'm going to set current view as home. So if I go and do that and I click on home, it's going to take me to my top view. You can go ahead and reset your home back to what it was before by just going over to this drop down menu and saying reset home. We can also do that by resetting our front view. So that is our front view, but we, for some reason, want our bottom view to be the front view. So we're going to go to that drop down menu. We're going to set current view as front. And so now our bottom view is now our front view. So we're going to go ahead and the back is now the top view, or the top view is now the back view, and the top view, the front view is now the top view. Okay, this sounds a little bit confusing. So let's just go ahead and we can reset that option. Okay, so let's have a look at the navigation bar here at the bottom. So we've got orbit, we've got look at, we've got pan, we've got zoom window, display settings, grid snaps, and viewports. Okay, so this is pretty much everything that we have gone through. So like panning and then orbiting around our view, our model, etc., etc. So let's click on orbit, and orbit is now going to allow us to orbit without having to click on the cube. But that means we can only orbit unless we press escape. And the same thing for pan. We can now pan throughout our drawing without having to, use the middle scroll wheel. I think these options are very handy when you are using a laptop that does not have a scroll wheel. And then the zoom options are pretty much self-explanatory. So I've quickly zoomed out of my drawing over here. We're going to go ahead and say fit, and it's going to bring us back basically to the home view of our drawing. So let's just go home, and there we go. We are back to our little model over here. These are our display settings, so you can change a bunch of display settings, which I'm not going to get into because this video needs to be a little bit short because it's for beginners. So we might go over this in the future. And then we've got our grid options, which I showed in the beginning of the video. So we can either turn off the layout grid or we can turn it back on. I prefer mine to be on. Okay, so let's go ahead to viewports. So if you guys can see, we've got one view of our model over here. And if I click on this, we've got multiple views of our model. So as you guys can see, we've got a top view, we've got a front view, we've got a right view, and then we've got this view as well. So I'm currently clicked on this view, and I can now just do things inside of this view. If I edit stuff on this view, it's obviously going to change on these views because it's the same model, it's just different views. If you would like to leave this option, we go click on viewports and we go back to single view. And the last thing we are going to be looking at in this video is starting a sketch. So remember, I said that we've got these various tabs called solid, surface, mesh, etc. We have this create a sketch option in our solid tab. So you're going to go ahead, click on that, and you're going to be able to create a sketch. So we are going to need to choose a plane to sketch on. I always choose the top view. So we're going to go ahead, select that, and we now have different options to start creating a drawing, such as line, rectangles, circles, and all that fun stuff. Once you are done with your drawing or your sketch, you can go ahead and say finish sketch, and then we can go ahead over to our 3D stuff. But all of that will be discussed in different videos. And that is it for this video. I hope that it helped you. If it did, please give it a big fat thumbs up. If you guys are new to the channel and you have not yet done so, please hit that subscribe button. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Good luck with your Fusion 360 journey.